Okay. Welcome back to episode number 2 of From the Fabricator. I am your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time, thanks for finding me. But hopefully this is your second and you are checking this out for the second time. It is episode number 2. I'm very excited. Got a great episode today. We have Kathy Soroka from Goldray Glass, a very interesting person, products. It is something definitely to see. We also have Chris Hanstad and Barry Sutherland of Frameless Hardware Company. Interesting because new company getting going in the heart of the pandemic, and also new products that are fascinating. And last but certainly not least, Peter Worstell of Sage Glass with the project of the pod, project of the month, a beauty out in California. And Peter's energy and enthusiasm, you want to see that. It is fantastic. So that is all coming up on this episode of From the Fabricator. Again, thank you for checking this out. Thank you for being a part of my world here. I do appreciate that. And I'm excited to have you here. Before I get started with the interviews, I just want to cover some of the big news. And there's 2 big items that we have to cover. First and foremost, the big news in the industry over the past few weeks was the announcement of JE Berkowitz pausing operations, Columbia Commercial Architectural or Columbia Commercial Building Products closing their doors, or at least planning to close their doors at this point. And that came out and it was very tough. Obviously, it's affecting a lot of people. It has affected a lot of people that have been involved in those companies. So this one is hard to take, but I have to definitely stress, and I missed this on my blog when I first posted it, Solar Seal is still open. And those folks that work at Solar Seal are passionate. I've heard from a couple and I've seen a bunch online on different message boards, and they're saying we're open, we're not going anywhere. And so I'm very impressed. They are fighting for their lives there. And I'm very impressed by their approach to things. So Solar Seal is open. And then the other 2 companies that fall into the Consolidated Glass Holdings world, that being the Lubac Specialty Glass and Global Security Glazing, they're both open as well. So there's a lot going on out there, and it's a tough one. And we're going to hear a lot more about what happened, how things fell apart. I think we know some things. The pandemic had an effect. A lot of change of management had an effect. Bob Cummings, who's a good friend of mine, somebody that my brother hired at our family company years ago. It was a great move by my brother, as most were back in the day. He was tough. He was good. He still is to this day. But he hired Bob, and I will tell you, I was jealous of Bob. I couldn't hold up to what Bob did every day. And so for me, I've always admired Bob, and I feel for him because I know how he is and I know how he takes things. And I think he's doing everything he can for the company's best interests, actually, going forward. I feel that way. So that's what's going on with Consolidated Glass Holdings and JE Berkowitz. Again, I think the impressive thing right now is the passion from the Solar Seal people. And then we'll see what happens. There's going to be a maneuver there somewhere that's a big building with equipment. Someone is going to probably jump into that. Who will it be? The rumors are all over the map. And so we will watch that pretty closely. Now, the other big news was the cancellation of BEC. BEC is one of my babies. I've been involved with that event pretty much from the beginning. I was the chair of that event for 4 years. I've been on the programming committee for I don't even know how long. And it's tough. It's tough to see that get canceled, but it was the right call. The National Glass Association really did not have a big choice to do that. They made the right call. They went with it. And, they've created something that you'll be hearing a lot more about within these next couple of weeks. BEC Presents. It is episodes that will all be dropping, and it'll be a couple big ones that are talking about the industry, state of the industry, and so on. It will be worth seeing. It does not replace BEC, let's be clear, but it is still very, very important to our industry and still worth you spending some time with it. And we will get back together for BEC next year in Nashville. We have to. Until then, we're going to keep our eyes open on the shows to come. And the one that I'm really right now most curious about is Texpo, that I believe is supposed to happen in May. I hope to be there if the Texas Glass Association will have me. I love the Texas Glass Association big time, and I hope that they'll see clear to get me there. I would love to be there, and I want that show to happen. So I'm wishing the best of luck to Texpo, because it would be nice to get something going, a show in person. So we'll be watching that. That's supposed to come up in May. And so we'll follow along. In the meantime, we'll also be keeping our eyes on Glass Build. And I talked to all three guests, I believe, today, all three sets of guests about Glass Build, and hopefully all of us being back in person this year in Atlanta. So those were the big news: the JEB situation, BEC getting canceled, and it's something that we're all going to have to continue to watch. So now, without further ado, it's time to move on to our interview segments. I'm very excited again about these three sets of guests. We started off with a great interview. I'm biased, obviously. A great interview with a tremendous person in Kathy Soroka from Goldray Glass. Here it goes. Okay, podcast time, and it's our interview portion of the podcast, and I am beyond thrilled to welcome in Kathy Soroka, the president and CEO of Goldray Glass. She's also the chair of the National Glass Association for 2021, and a unbelievable volunteer and supporter of our glass industry. And so thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us on podcast number 2 of From the Fabricator. Thank you.
Well, Max, thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. I've always considered you to be one of the most influential people in the glass industry. So I'm just happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
Well, I'm honored by that. I'm honored. I've always been a huge fan of Goldray and of you, and I'm excited to talk to you about some of these things. And let's just start it off. 2021, we're about a little over a month in. How's it going for you guys? How are you weathering the pandemic storm and just everything else? How's it going up at Goldray?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. We're not going to set the world on fire, I think, right in the first part of this year anyway. We've got a really nice, decent backlog, but for us, the first 3 months is always a little bit slow, being way up here in the north, I guess. Some of our projects got pushed out from last year, so that helps with our backlog for this year, for sure. All things considered, though, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. The pandemic, of course, has affected us just like it has everybody else. But so far, we've been extremely lucky with not having to do any layoffs or anything like that. As I like to say, I'm not going to vote Liberal anytime soon. However, I am very grateful for what the government's done for us.
That's wonderful. And it's great. It's, I've said all along that the resilience of our industry continues to show. And again, owners like yourself and businesses like Goldray, are fighting through such a challenge. And so congrats to you and your folks for keeping this rolling. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I know a little bit about Goldray. I mean, I've been a fan from afar. You're an incredible operator, fabricator, glass, decorative, and specialty, and so on. But can you take us on how it all started and where it started and now to where you're at now? It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, it has. We've grown quite a bit, actually, but this is our, I think, 36th year in business. I can hardly believe that. Yeah, it's been amazing. For anybody who doesn't know us, we are a glass fabricator. We focus on decorative glass, and we have one factory in Calgary, Canada, but we sell all over North America, a little bit in the Middle East. So yeah, it's been quite a ride. It's a family business, and we started out from scratch back in the mid 80s. We had like zero money. And certainly no idea what glass even was other than to look through it. So we've learned a lot, and we just kept learning and growing and doing things that nobody else did. And that's really how we grew our business. When we started, it was just Greg and I. So Greg was my husband, and his brother and I just started from zero money. We were this big back in the day. His dad actually would come by every day, and he would clean up after us and make us lunch. So it was a true family business. Yeah, I look back at those pictures now, and I just think it was so much fun. It was really hard. Having no money and trying to raise 3 kids and feed them every single day and run a business. But I look back and there was just a lot of fun with that as well. Still a family business as well. And, even though Greg is no longer with us, my son and daughter have taken on executive roles with the company, and they are just taking the company to new heights. I'm just so proud of everything that they're doing. So really though, like any other entrepreneurial business, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and some of our ups and downs have been quite public. So a lot of people, I think, would remember some of the stories from past years. Also, though, as entrepreneurs, I find we have to all have tenacity and resilience to be able to make a go of it, no matter what kind of a business you're in. Even when you're faced with some pretty significant obstacles, then you just keep going. You put your head down and you keep going, and you don't let it go. And in my opinion, that's the definition of an entrepreneur: is you don't let go of your baby.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm so impressed with you and your team, is that you guys have had that stick-to-itiveness. You have fought in so many different battles, and you're playing in very, very high-end, playgrounds, because you're making, and we're going to show in a little bit when we talk about projects, you're not selling clear glass with one little logo on it. I mean, you are going way out with incredible designs.
Yeah, and that's actually the fun part for us. Every day we get to work on projects like that and work with designers that are just so amazingly talented. It's really fun, and we've been able to actually make a growing, profitable, successful business out of having fun.
I love it. And speaking of fun, the thing that really opened my eyes even more to you and to Goldray was around Glass Build Connect last year. And you had your folks in your warehouse do little snippets of, I'm going to Glass Build. And I could tell from the culture, and just from watching the videos that came into me, this wasn't forced. I mean, it looked like your folks were out there. They truly were into what they were doing. They really enjoyed it. You had the culture was just seeping through the video. Talk a little bit about the culture that you and the family have built there, because your people blew me away in those videos. Congratulations to you. I mean, it was so impressive, so impressive.
Oh, thank you. Well, they blow me away every single day. So, and yes, we've not always had such a wonderful culture, for sure. But we've worked really hard at building it, and building Goldray into a company that all of us really want to work at. And of course, that takes years. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't build something like that overnight. The culture that we have now, though, is really based on respect for one another, and then seeing the value in everybody. At Goldray, I always say that there is no person and no job that's any more important than any other, and we all play a part in building this company. It isn't like Mike and Laura and I, my son and daughter and I, that we own the company and we employ people. It's not like that at all. We're all partners together, and we share in both the successes and the failures, because obviously in any kind of an entrepreneurial business, that's life.
Yeah. You could just tell though, some of your folks, I mean, you could tell that they really enjoyed being there and they got into it. I love that.
They did. Yeah, they did. And, even in, good times or bad times, I've had people come to me and say things like, when we're a family, regardless of what happens. And when things are good, you guys share it with us. And when things are bad, then we get to share back with you. So yeah, it makes me a little misty even when I think about it.
Well, kudos to you and the family. And I guess that leads me really nicely into my next question. Your son and daughter, and congratulations to Michael. He just won a Ghana award. I'm still in the Ghana days. An NGA. Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I might have to edit that. An NGA award yesterday, Volunteer of the Year, I believe, that Michael won during the Glass Conference. But your kids are starting to move up, and you are possibly you're going to take a step back, which when you mentioned this to me, I was kind of floored. I did not see that coming. So talk a little bit about the future of Goldray Glass and you.
Yeah, sure. So definitely there's some big changes on the horizon for us. Goldray is moving forward right now at light speed. And honestly, it's the next generation that's driving that. That's not me that's driving that. And I'm sure, Max, like when you raise kids, it's exactly the same. You raise kids up to a certain level of where you are, and then they start there and they just take off. And that's exactly what is happening within our company. Watching the new generation taking over the company, it's not just Mike and Laura as well. There's so many others that are much more in touch with things that are coming up in the modern world, like the importance of green building and reusable materials, the impact on the environment. And, what we've developed as new products, we're in a position now where we can continue working in the same market and selling to the same customers and the same companies. But where these people are taking us is just a game changer for the whole construction industry. I'm super excited for them. Yeah, for sure. Now, my son Mike has been working with us for over 20 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm not stepping back because I don't love the company, love the industry. It's just, I think he deserves a chance, and so does Laura, to be able to take this company and take it where they want it to go, for sure. And you know what, I don't want to be the kind of founder that you know, sticks around and says, well, in my day we did it like this.
And I don't think you would be. I find you extremely progressive with everything you've done. So I could see you rolling with the punches, but that's also you doing this now and stepping aside, is saying, okay, I need to step aside so these two can grow and take Goldray to 2.0 or the next level, whatever they call it these days.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And honestly, the stuff that they're working on is just even mind boggling for me. You know, it's a tiny bit of a relief. I don't have to learn all that stuff.
Well, I'm excited for them, and so you are going to slowly transition away, but you won't be totally gone. I know that you're going to at least keep an eye on all of us, right?
Oh, of course, of course.
There you go. And we'll talk a little bit about the role you're playing with NGA in a moment, but let's talk now about projects. One of the things that I found during my first podcast was that people really fell in love with Tom O'Malley. You know, walked us through a couple projects of his, and the feedback I got, aside from the backgrounds, which I cleaned up this time, was, hey, we love the project talk. And so I'm kicking myself that I didn't get a chance to ask Tim Kelly about projects, because TriStar does some beautiful work. But I did remember, and now I've added into it, that when I have an interview with someone like yourself, we can talk some projects. And you have two that you've brought to me. The first one, and we're going to show pictures on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube, Union Station in Toronto. You take us through, you know, how you guys came about with this unbelievable look. It's again, it's stunning. It's glass at its finest.
Oh, wonderful. Sure. So you're right. I brought two projects, and both of them that I want to share with you guys today is they're new products that our team has put together, and wall cladding systems. So a few years ago, we started to see a trend in interior construction towards prefabricated systems that are actually factory built. You control the quality, you control everything in the factory, and then they're just taken to site and put up on the wall. So it's a way of having no construction waste, a way of having glass be installed in, you know, 1/10 of the time at the most. So both of these are two different types. It also ends up saving a significant amount of money as well as time on the overall project cost, is what we've been finding as we're moving forward with this. So we market these two types of installation systems as Mosaic and Nova, and each one of them are good for different conditions. So Union Station in Toronto, what you're seeing now, this is a large scale project in a high traffic area. It's a bus terminal in Toronto. This project was more than 30,000 square feet of a custom white back painted glass.
Nice.
Yeah, and if it's okay, I'd just like to talk about our partners for a minute.
Please, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's super important. It's not just us in a vacuum that does any of this stuff. So in this project, the building owner was Hines. Architect was Adamson and Walters Group. General contractor we worked with was Elliston, and they were amazing to work with. And then the glazing contractor was TAG Industries out of Toronto. So with this project, the architect was already familiar with wall systems, and so they specified this clean, very modern looking design. And when they saw our system, they understood how it worked. Our salesperson out there, Steve Peachinine, who some of you might know from other parts of the glass industry, and he was the one that sold this project. And when they saw how it worked and how much money they could save in the overall project costs, they chose our Mosaic system for this project.
Nice.
So you can see on the photos, the glass is installed. It's got both vertical and horizontal reveals. So to install this using traditional methods would have taken many more months than it actually did by using this kind of a system. So one of the other benefits of our Mosaic system is that the panels can be removed easily and just used elsewhere as long as it's the same size, because they're tempered glass, of course. So if the owner ever wanted to pop some of them off and add different signage or put a design element in or anything like that, it's easy. You pop it on, pop something else on, or pop it off, pop something else on, and then away you go. So if we were to install this in a traditional method, you'd either have to use like that old piano wire to get it off, or
right. Oh yeah.
break it, chisel it off the wall or anything like that. So
No, it's brilliant, and it's also, you know, it's a way to get glass in an area that you know sometimes is not thought of as a glass area. So it's a great call by you. Great call.
Yeah, actually, well, the architect came up with the idea. We just made
it. Even better, even better.
We all work together.
Yeah, and I like that you gave credit to everybody. You know, that's you're right. You know, it does take great collaboration to pull off projects like these. Absolutely.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it really does. And when you can work together on a project, it really makes such a big difference in how it turns out, and the communication is so much better. If you're dealing with partners, we've always found that you can work through anything that you come up against. If you're always just trying to get the best of somebody or get the lowest price or something like that, then you really never turn out with the best result.
No doubt, no doubt. Now the second one is in Texas, the BHP headquarters. Again, glass. I assume then this is the Nova system, since you brought or is this Mosaic as well?
No, this one is Nova, actually.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So BHP headquarters is also a very large scale project over multiple floors. So Nova is a system that we use when weight is important or when they're like very definite shapes. With a Mosaic system, if you've got off square pieces or whatever, the system is flexible enough that you don't have to ever worry about that. But with Nova, when you've got triangles or specific shapes, we would recommend something like that. So this particular project, the architect was Picard Chilton and Kendall Heaton as well, out of Texas. Gensler did the interior design. Harvey was the general contractor, and then the glazing contractor was Admiral Glass and Mirror, and they are a really good, long-standing customer. We've done a bunch of work with in the past.
Yeah, legendary name in this industry, no doubt.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, they are. There's some really amazing companies down in Texas, and they're definitely one of them.
Oh yeah. Fantastic job, though. Beautiful, and I mean the reaction the reaction from the customers. You know, must be over the top. I mean, the architects, I'm sure, are thrilled about it, but everybody else involved, I mean, it's so different. I like that. I like the way you're using glass.
Yeah, it is very different. This project, we completed it a few years ago. It wasn't this year. And at the time, the design firm that did the design wasn't familiar with wall systems or wall cladding systems the way that they are now. So we were able to show Admiral and the designers, you know, what the benefits are of using a system as opposed to, again, putting glass on the wall. Right when we started producing it, there was a big time crunch. And so rather than us supplying glass and then Admiral adhering it to MDF and putting on Z-clips and, you know, all the rigmarole that you have to do to bring it out from the wall, we just supplied the Nova system. They took it to site, hung it on the wall, and done. And it was so easy and so fast. And I think we don't have exact amounts of how much money they saved, but it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for sure.
Incredible. And I think it's the thinking outside the box aspect. And I really like the fact that on the first job you mentioned the architect had the idea and you guys were able to take that idea and run with it. And on this job, you guys were able to save a ton of money and again, make us as an industry look good. And obviously it makes Goldray and everybody involved with it look great. So congratulations. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. They were both really fun jobs to work on, that's for sure. It's always great when you get a challenge like that. And you can work with a bunch of very professional and intelligent people and get it done.
I like it. Well, there's so much to see with Goldray, and it's goldrayglass.com, I believe, is your website.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, that's
right. I was almost positive, and I'm like, oh, I can't look it up right now. I'm on the air. But beautiful stuff, and I've had a project of the week on my blog at the end of the year last year. So that was an example of some of the stuff you do, but decorative glass, incredible specialty glass. So please, if you haven't gotten onto Cathie's website at goldrayglass.com, check that out. So congrats on these two projects and many, many more to come, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So before I let you go, you are the grand poobah of the NGA this year. You are the chair. And so I obviously love the NGA. I've worked with the NGA for years. Obviously as an industry person, I live for it, but you're the chair. And before we talk about what excites you about NGA, you've always been a volunteer. You have always been active. Why is that so important? So if somebody's on the fence right now about volunteering some time, what would you say to them? Because you've always done it and you are not like looking for stuff to do. I know you're busy. So why is it so important that you volunteer?
It is my opinion that when we're in an industry, or when we are in an industry, it's the responsibility of all of us to make that industry the very best that we can. And I don't just expect other people to look forward and continue to make us all relevant. I think that is also my job. And the health of our companies depends on the health of the industry, also not just now, but also in the future. Also on a personal level, everybody that runs a business wants to be successful for their own reasons. And for us, it's our people and our partners. And we think that Goldray exists in order to make better futures for everybody. So that's why we exist as a company. And our people have made a really significant contribution to the company in choosing to work with us and develop their careers there. And we in turn want to invest back in them. And part of doing that is making sure that both the company and the industry are healthy, like in the long term, so that we can continue all to be relevant, all to be working, and all to be successful.
Beautiful, beautiful. And now, in your role of NGA, what do you have on tap? What excites you about NGA in the year ahead? Obviously, it's a tough scenario. We're all still dealing with the pandemic, and hopefully, we're coming out of it. But what excites you about NGA in 2021?
Oh, so many things.
Beautiful.
So I've been involved with the NGA since the merger with JNA. It was more because of the decorative division. I was more active with JNA before that. But I'm definitely honored to be chairing the board this year. It's an extreme honor, and actually Grand Poobah is a really good title. I like that.
We'll make sure we'll make sure that becomes official. I'll put a good word in with Andrew Herring and Nicole Harris for you.
Excellent, thank you. Definitely, we're going to have some challenges ahead, though, for sure. But also, we're going to have some very exciting opportunities as an industry as we look forward to, what's coming up for all of us. My feeling is that, in the NGA, we've got so many intelligent and capable people that are working hard on moving our industry forward in terms of like technology, codes and standards, recycling, the effect we have on our planet, all those things. We've got some very capable people running that. And honestly, they don't need me jumping on their bandwagon and working with them on the things that they have expertise in. So where I think I can make a difference is in the area of diversity and inclusion, and help to move our industry forward as well, but more on the human side of things rather than the technical side of things. So that's really what's exciting for me today. Now I look at what's going on in the world, and diversity just makes a lot of sense. There's a strong relationship, I know, between diverse organizations and diverse industries and profitability and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes diversity and inclusion does not happen naturally. And I believe that we need to be intentional about it on our board and our association and our industry. I think it's extremely important. And we're not alone. There's so many different organizations that are doing this as well. The AGC, the Association of General Contractors, they've got a culture of care pledge that they've put together that they're really promoting diversity and inclusion as well as safety within the general contracting industry. We've also got GAS, which is the Glass Art Society, and my son Michael is on the board of that. And they have actually put together sort of a manifesto on diversity and inclusion, and even including accessibility and making sure that everything is equal and inclusive for everybody. So they're saying, this is who we want to be as an association, and they're making decisions based on that. They're putting their resources into that so that they're moving everything forward the way that they have a vision of. So that's just two of so many organizations like ours that really see the need to promote diversity and inclusion within the industry. So Honestly, there's so many reasons that we can point to as to why we should be doing this.
Yeah.
But honestly, Max, I think it's just the right thing to do.
Sure.
And that's why I'm so excited about doing it.
It really is. It really is. And I'm excited to have you at the forefront of this. And what Nicole and the team have done and set this in motion is going to pay dividends for so many over the years. I mean, and diversity inclusion is just crucial. And I think we're headed in the right direction finally. And that's what we need to be doing. Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah. And it doesn't negate anything that's happened in the past. And the people that have been involved in the industry up to this point have got us to this point. And just like when you're raising kids, you start here and then you can go further.
I like you brought it all back to the beginning. That was perfect. That's perfect. Well, I'm excited to see what you do this year. And obviously I look forward to seeing you in person at Glass Build in Atlanta. We're obviously going to stay hopeful that things can progress in our world, that we can have an in-person event in Atlanta. And I think it's important. I hope that we can get to that, because I think we all need to see each other in person instead of these Zoom calls. I
agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Hugs are one of the things I miss the most.
It really is. That interaction is, I can't wait to shake people's hands and pat people on the back. And I know it's going to be a little squirrely probably for some at the beginning, but I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And
me too.
Awesome. Well, I know you are swamped. I appreciate you, giving me this sliver of time in your day and coming on the podcast. I loved learning about the projects that you showed. And also, I'm excited about what you've got going at Goldray, and I'm excited for Michael and Laura and the next steps, and look forward to having them on a podcast down the line so they could talk about what they've done, as they take over. So it's exciting. So thank you so much for taking the time with me today.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Max. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of information about what's happening with Goldray and NGA Worlds. And as always, I am humbled to be in your world. So thank you for this opportunity.
No way. That is the grand poobah of the NGA this year. Kathy Soroka, Goldray Glass, chair of the NGA. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being on, and we'll see you. We'll see you in September.
Absolutely. I will see you there.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So this week or this month on the podcast, I am thrilled to be joined by two gentlemen who are atop of one of the hottest companies in our industry. Excited to be joined by Chris Hanstad, the president and CEO, and Barry Sutherland, the senior vice president of sales of frameless hardware company FHC. You can find them on the web at fhc-usa.com. Exciting young company. And today I'm excited to find out about these guys. I barely know them, and I think they'll even tell you that. I've only gotten to talk to them a few times in my life, talking to them about their background, the challenges of starting a new company, running headlong into a pandemic, and then where we all go from there. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks, Max. Barry and I are really excited. Absolutely. Thank you, Max, for having us.
Awesome. Well, let's just start. As I said at the beginning, I don't know you very well. I know of you. You guys have great careers in our industry, but give the audience a little rundown of each of you. Chris, you can start if you'd like, where you've come from and how you are, now atop this company today.
Okay. Well, you'll hear stories like this a lot, but I fell into the glass industry on accident when I was a kid, and just hungry, looking for a job, opened up a newspaper, and, a simple little tempering line named Grandview Glass and Metal was looking for a draftsman. And that's how I began my career 24 years ago. And you learn, I think you get the best growth in an industry is when you stay in an industry like we've done, like you'll hear from Barry and myself. And we started off at the very bottom. We were on the floor, looking at the fabrication equipment, just really getting your hands in the weeds on all this stuff at such a young age. And you stay and grow within an industry, and you look back and you go, wow, it's done really well for us. And that's kind of how I'm 24 years deep into this industry. And I think Barry's got a similar story.
Yeah, I actually started 26 years ago at Summermaca, actually working in the warehouse and packing boxes and unloading trucks and helping customers in will call. And from there, I was promoted to an outside sales territory in Los Angeles, and all the time while I was at Saroka, I was always seeing another company in the industry. This company acquires this company is doing that, this company is acquiring this. And before you know it, I ended up being an employee of that company for 20 years. And here we are today. And
awesome.
It's been just such a great industry, for both of us. And it's been so exciting to be part of it. And I can remember early in my career, always walking through the malls and seeing, all glass entrances and being so curious about it as a young person in the industry, and how do they do this and how are they built, and always looking at it. And before you knew it, that was part of the business I ended up being a director of for 20 years in my previous employment. And
I love that. And that's, similar to, I think the glass industry, we all have that experience, because when I got into the industry, my brother, who's a driving force in my life, he took me out. We had done the glass at the Greater Pittsburgh International Airport. And this was before 9/11 and security. You could just go to the airport anytime you wanted. And we did a lot of the glass. And so he brought me out there, and we're on our knees looking for our logo. And we're looking at all this glass throughout the airport. And I swear, if we did that these days with the way that, people would think that we're up to something. But I mean, we were hands and knees pointing out the logo, high-fiving each other. Our glass was in the Greater Pittsburgh International Airport. So I know what you guys have done. And plus, you obviously, both of you have had material everywhere, signature jobs all over the country. So that's pretty exciting. So I just had to share my own little story with you, but I think we're all in that same boat.
Very good.
Awesome. So now, the best part is where we're at today, FHC. And I said at the beginning, it's a hot company. I've been so excited watching you guys, get going and making the impact in the industry that you've been. Talk about, the challenge of starting a new company. It's been what 2 years, or is it 3 years? Can you take me back to the beginning and starting this new company and then hitting the ground running?
Well, I would say we're just over 2 years old. I mean, it's we kind of kicked off in 2019.
Yeah, May of 2019.
May, but it was real quiet for most of 2019. For us, we just a lot of groundwork, a lot of building. Just when you try to do something like this in life, it takes a lot of just the right people. There's a whole recipe. You got to have good people. You got to have great vendors, and you got to have just all the right innovation to really do something that the industry is going to want to support. And we knew what that was like, and we had to recreate that. And we've done that. It's we've got 65 employees now here at the company, little over 2 years later, and we're really doing great things.
In fact, Chris and I were just talking about this yesterday. This time last year, we had 11 employees.
Wow.
This was prior to COVID, and now we're at 65 employees. So it's been phenomenal. And to piggyback on your question, for me personally, one of the hardest things for us structuring this company was just trying to just create systems and procedures that worked, and really just recreate an operating system that worked from scratch. I mean, we're so spoiled coming from pop-up businesses that had computer programs and already did all the groundwork. And so we basically, to create the entire company from scratch, between getting a business license and just all the things that are involved with that.
Wear a lot of hats.
A lot of hats.
That's what it takes. It's your complete undivided attention in life, and you almost have to go to your families and say, we got something great here, but I'll see you later, because I got to focus on this for the next many years to really make it successful. And they've been real supportive.
In a weird way, the pandemic almost worked for you, because you were forced to stay focused on building the business, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can say it. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, and what I also find interesting is that a lot of people I've talked to are very proud that they did not lay off anybody during the pandemic. They fought through it. They stayed resilient. And here you guys added 50, some people to the roles, or 45, whatever the case may be. That's exciting. That's exciting to see growth during such a tough year.
Yeah. And kind of talking about the pandemic, we're doing great. It's very unique, this whole process here, but I mean, we're doing fantastic, and we're calling up all our old friends in the industry that we've known for 25 plus years, and just calling up our old friends, looking for support, and whether it's a customer or a vendor or whatever it might be, it just to help bring together this great business.
And I would say probably one of the most important things in starting a new business is just making sure in life that you always have good relationships and take care of those relationships, and relationships probably one of the most important things in regards to what we're doing here at FHC and how it was founded and where we plan on going.
Yeah,
Relationships with our employees, or relationships with vendors, or relationships with our customers, also very important.
The glass industry, I think, is special that way. It's such a relationship industry more than anything else. And obviously, you guys have had 20 plus years of relationships across all the lines that you could draw on. And you're also innovators. I've watched, for those of you who don't know FHC, again, check them out at their website, fhc-usa.com. But I did ask ahead of this interview, Chris and Barry, to talk about some of the products, some of the newest and exciting developments. But they have an incredible range of products, that do make a difference in your bottom line. Any big ones you want to talk about to the audience today?
Yeah, I think, Barry, you want to kind of tease them a little bit about what's going on with the heavy glass door?
Yeah, so the heavy glass door, the Herc door division, we've got just a large variety of products that we're actually offering for the industry. But the two main ones that we're excited about are the new Herc door system. It's
the name alone, everyone's known the Herculite style door. And,
sure.
And we thought, let's market and trademark Herc door. And wow, what a name. It's an industry name that really everybody knows. And we were able to do a whole revolutionary unitized gasket design with a dry glazed door rail. And
we even have an anti-clamshell little tab on the end of the end cap. So as the glazers are rolling these doors off the glass trucks and standing them into place, a lot of times the doors will come down and slam onto a surface, and you just spent $2,000 to $5,000 for a Herc door, and all of a sudden you clink the glass and you got a clamshell on the bottom edge, and you get dinged on your punch list halfway through. And so just all of our years of knowledge and listening to customers and ways
small
improvements go small things go a long way.
Absolutely, and that's beautiful, and that's what people come to expect from you. And again, the Herc door, that's exciting. I'm a big that is old school for me, and I like how you've taken the old school and you've brought it into the the new century, the new next level, and did things like this. Protecting the edges. A clamshell thing is a big thing I know glazers suffer with all the time. So kudos.
Now, one of the other things that we just introduced is it's a brand new, we call it our VDS series vertical door style system.
Okay.
And it's trick. You basically pull it out of the box, and the gasket's already pre-installed. You slip it right onto the edge of the glass, and you tighten some Allen screws from the face of it. And it's got some plaid covers that you just peel and stick the tape, and they install so quickly. And so
nice.
Any door fabricators that have tried to install doors with vertical styles over the last 20 years, they probably cringe when they get these orders, because they can be tricky to build, and by far this is the easiest, fastest vertical style to install in the industry. And
nice.
Very, very proud of that.
Yeah, and again, everyone's looking for efficiency, and you have to make the most of your labor, and labor's so tough to come by. So if you can make it a smoother process, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, these products and a lot of things that you have play in the interior, and I'm a big interior guy. I really think that's where this industry is going to make a heck of a run on the interiors going forward. What do you guys see? From your perch in LA, are you seeing growth in the interiors? Am I crazy here? I mean, what do you think of the interior space?
Oh, we think there's tremendous opportunity for growth on interior, even exterior, just with pool surrounds going glass, and they continue to go glass, balconies going glass. We feel that glass really adds value to a building when you can put in glass railings or glass fencing or pool surrounds or interiors. Glass just really, I mean, takes, just jobs to the next level. So Barry and I, we're big, we've lived it, we believe in it, and we see the growth even through a pandemic. We're seeing tremendous growth here. It's unbelievable.
We're seeing new buildings coming out of the ground. We see buildings that are in process. We see a lot of TI work, and so we're seeing it from all spectrums within the industry.
I love it. I love it. Glass is big for all of us, and that's exciting that you guys are seeing a lot of the same things. And I'm pumped by that, and I'm also pumped that I'm very confident we're going to all be together in the fall at Glass Build. I'm staying positive on that. We got to stay positive. You guys have to be looking forward to getting in front of people again, and because I also know your networks are huge. So it's going to be kind of like everybody coming home to see you. Are you guys excited about the fall? Excited about being in a trade show again?
I'll tell you, we were so pumped last year.
Yes.
We were going to have what we call our coming out party,
right,
for the show last year in Vegas, and then with the whole COVID thing, we decided to do we bring the show to you through, and we actually took our booth into our factory and did a video recording of the whole thing and put it on our website. But that was what was going to come to your Vegas show last year at Glassfield. Right. And but I'll let you talk about this coming year.
No, we had a lot of surprises that we wanted to announce to the industry in Vegas this past year, and we've got more surprises we're looking forward to announce this coming year. So,
and that's in Atlanta, right?
It is. We're back in Atlanta, and I do remember some of you bringing the show to us videos, because your video team is awesome, and Barry looked like a professional TV host. I mean, he looked like a game show host. He was on a pedestal. He was lit perfectly, not like me, half dark, half light with my bald head. You look great, Barry. I mean, you figured it out. So
we got the same barber, I see.
We do. But you're lit better still today than I am. One of these days I'll figure that out. But I'm looking forward to seeing you at the show. So really, what's next for you guys? I mean, you're in year 2.5. You're rolling forward. You've grown. What are the logical next steps? Where do we see FHC going for the rest of 2021 and going forward?
Well, that's a very good question. We're excited. I mean, all Barry and I can really say is just watch out. Here we come. Yeah, and it's Barry and I have a good 30 years left in us. I mean, where we're young, we're hungry, yep, and we have a heart for the customer. And so we're dedicated to this industry. This industry is taking care of our families for our entire career, and we want to give back and do something great at the same time, while we do it.
And I've often said, there's some people in life, they open up an ice cream store and they offer chocolate and vanilla, and that's their business model.
Right.
For us, all I can tell you is we're truly just getting started.
Wonderful. I love it. I'm very excited. I appreciate the way you guys support the industry, especially as a startup. You've stepped in and you've done some great support at the NGA level, and I can tell you as an industry observer and somebody who works closely with NGA, I appreciate that. I appreciate the way you step up, and I am looking forward to what's next. That's good stuff. I'm pumped for you guys.
Yeah, but we'll continue to be a part of the NGA, and really for many decades to come. And you can count on us. We're big fans. So.
Awesome. Well, it is likewise. I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you jumping on podcast number 2 from the Fabricator. That's Chris Hanstad, President and CEO, and then Barry Sutherland, Senior Vice President of Sales. This is FHC, Frameless Hardware Company. You can find them on the web at fhc-usa.com. Thanks so much, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys soon in person.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Max.
Take care.
Okay, now it is time for our project of the pod. The project of the podcast this month is a fascinating one that I'm a big fan of because I'm a big technology guy. Love the technology in our industry and innovation, and this is a company that does it and has been doing it for many years. And this project is a beauty. So joining me today is Peter Worstell of Sage Glass. Peter, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Max, thank you. This is quite an honor, and look forward to the conversation here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's just start it off with a little bit of your background and then we'll get into Sage's background. You're not an industry veteran per se. You've been in it for a while, but your energy comes across like you live and die the glass industry. And I love that. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Max. I do have a little bit of a diverse background. The majority of my time is spent in the apparel industry, working for Jockey International as a VP of sales. And certainly when I moved out here, the retail industry was really shrinking up, and I did take a short little sprint and joined a lacrosse company called 3D Lacrosse, which was really exciting. And that happens to be a big part of my background too, of the sport of lacrosse. And I was EVP of sales for them. We opened up 5 new regions, and that was all well and good, but you don't live in Northern California right on top of Silicon Valley without sticking your finger into technology. So what I needed was a unique individual to look at the kind of network that I have across the country and give me a shot. And Namrata Vora turned out to be that person. She's iconic in the dynamic glass industry. She's currently VP of sales for North America, India, and Asia Pacific. But she gave me a shot at View, starting at View with electrochromic glass, and I followed her to Pleotint and Suntuitive, which was thermochromic glass technology, and now over here following her at Sage Glass. So very, very fortunate to have a mentor like that and someone to, give you a shot from outside the industry.
Yeah, she's a fantastic person, and I'd love to have her on this podcast, but I don't even think I could get her to listen to the podcast. The woman is so busy. She has, I really believe if you looked at her planner, probably 23 of the 24 hours are booked. She's a incredible person, incredibly busy, and obviously she's got you in here, and so you've got this energy and this passion, and now you're at Sage, and I think that energy and passion you have is matching up to what that company brings to the table. Talk a little bit about Sage and what you guys have going on right now.
Yeah, well, look, right off the bat, I have to say how grateful I am to be with a company like Sage Glass. We all went through a very difficult year last year, but I also think it was a telling time for companies to show who they are, to really put it out there, how they can navigate difficult times. And Sage Glass has a great leadership team, and obviously Namrata is part of that. But they showed with a "we put people first" mantra, they showed how they can navigate very, very difficult times. I don't know I think there's 300 to 400 people in this company, Max. I don't know of one that was furloughed. I mean, the company did backflips to keep people first. And I can't tell you how far that goes. You want to talk about developing and creating culture and loyalty amongst your team in the field and your whole company. Anyway, Sage Glass is, to me, they're not just the industry leader in electrochromic glass, but as a company, they're a model of what it looks like to handle tough times and really show your colors, putting your people first.
I like it. And the resiliency of our industry as a whole was very impressive in 2020, but it's great to hear the individual story, and was unaware of obviously the lengths that that Sage has gone through to keep everybody going. It's a tough business because you are also in a very high performance, a high-end product. I mean, this is not a product that is going to go into a 7-Eleven storefront somewhere, right? So it makes it all the much tougher when you have a pandemic hit. Some of your projects probably slow up or get shelved. So you have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, you do. But I also think that tough times create opportunities. And there are many that just took a seat. And then there are some that, at least the way we approached it, was yes, from a company standpoint, how are we going to navigate? How are we going to handle this? But from a business standpoint, throughout the entire year, Max, there was still an undercurrent of activity that I know we tapped into. Yes, to your point, projects were put on hold, canceled, moved, but there was this undercurrent, probably more on the design side than anywhere, that we tapped into. And I'll tell you that the work that we did back in April, May, June, tapping into that undercurrent of design work with the architects, that has us positioned now today to rock and roll. And we're on the front end of a very explosive year in 21.
And exciting. And again, I've already said it once. I love your passion and energy. This is, I love it. So keep that going. So now let's talk about a project. Let's talk about Tata Hall at the University of California, San Diego. I showed it on my blog in January. Fantastic project designed by co-architects, one of my favorite firms in the whole entire world. I think they do incredible work. And this project just really, really is impressive. Can you take us through, the size of the project and all the key steps? And I'll show, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, pictures of this project will come up on your screen, so you'll be able to see what Peter's talking about. Go for it, Peter.
Especially these days, you need and want courageous leadership at the top of universities and colleges, right? And UC San Diego is one of those. I mean, they are a forward-thinking, visionary operation that cutting-edge research laboratories are right in their wheelhouse. And you've got to have champions like that to show the others how to get it done. I mean, we do have, there's a gentleman, J.R. Romero, down there, who's the most passionate director of sustainability I've ever met in my life. And to engage with him for this kind of a project really was just it was just a wonderful match. Very, very unique project because there was 130,000 square feet of glass. It was a $70 million donation from the Tata Fund that those dollars were targeted for this new research facility. 130,000 square feet of glass, 6 stories high. And what was unique about this, I mean, co-architects just nailed it because there was some unique challenges to this. This is in Southern California, right? So the biggest challenges that they were faced with how are we going to reduce energy in this? Because labs and research buildings, they just drive your HVAC system, right, in so many different ways. And so reducing energy was one. And then how do you control the heat gain? Being down there in Southern California. So they designed this building. It's very unique because it's narrow. It's a narrow building where to reduce energy, and actually they work with AEI too, who did a phenomenal job. But they put together this plan of how to reduce energy, reduce solar heat gain by developing a narrow footprint. And on the south side, they used a pane light grating to diffuse and deflect daylight so that it went as far as it could into the building. On the north side, they just do standard floor to ceiling glass. And then on the two ends, which were the smaller of the facades where the offices were, that's where they used electrochromic glass because you have the low angled sun just crushing on the eastern facade, right, in the mornings. And then on the western side, that sun coming down, just blowing into the facility on the western side. So what a wonderful fit to put sage glass there. And that's what they did. And the projections coming from AEI, with the whole result of this coordination of different elements, 27% reduction in energy, 52% reduction in solar heat gain.
Wow.
So I can't say enough. Tower Glass was a glazier, and they did a phenomenal glass job as well. But the way this was all designed and pulled together with very specific targets to hit: energy, solar heat gain, and now it's a premier installation. The university is incredibly excited about it. We just did another performance ROI analysis, Max, and it was like a 2-year payback from what they were going to use. So it's a credit to the university and people like JR to have the courage to let's go. Let's make this a world-class, high-end facility.
And see, I believe the more we can spread word about jobs like this that use high performance products, innovation, thinking outside the box, the better it is for all of us as an industry. We have to show off what we have. And so I'm thrilled when you tell me how well it went. This is a story we've got to get out to the masses. So that's why, I had a feeling that things went very well, but hearing you and hearing some of those numbers, the 27% on the energy, the natural light, the way they diffuse the natural light, and then a 2-year ROI, that's all incredible numbers. Incredible.
Well, yeah, Max, and I really think, going back to, I believe we're on the front end of an explosive year. I really do. We have a lot of momentum right now. I'll just say that. But Max, when you think about it, the solution of this technology just aligns so tremendously well with what the challenges are today. The whole healthy building narrative. Okay, blind shades and curtains are an old way to mitigate heat and glare. They're not healthy. They collect dust, germs, what have you. So just not only the expense that we can eliminate, but you don't want that's not healthy for faculty and students. So just from a healthy building narrative, this solution fits. The learning environment on inside of classrooms, because of the combination of tinting and letting in natural light, students and faculty are more productive and more engaged. And it's just that the solution just aligns incredibly well with what facility directors are trying to accomplish and architects are trying to accomplish.
No doubt. And that's been one of the things that I've been really pushing overall, is that I do feel that glass is uniquely positioned to be the ultimate product coming out of this pandemic, both exterior with products like yours, interior with allowing that natural light to come through, and the occupants to feel safe, but also gain those healthy vibes and the health benefits coming from, again, a product like like Sage electrochromic glass. So I'm very, very confident about all of that. I'm excited about where that's going. And so I guess you've touched on it a little bit. 2021 is lining up really exciting for you and Sage Glass.
Again, I've got to go back and we're in this position today because of the way the company navigated and handled the pandemic last year, and the way we pivoted and focused on that undercurrent, the opportunities that were early in design, the ones that are now at the front door of making decisions and moving forward. So we are incredibly excited about 2021. We're going to be dealing with this pandemic, and we're going to be navigating still, and we're going to be wrestling with the challenges of that. But the opportunities are in electrochromic glass for a reason. Nobody out there is as strong as this company. Think about it. We're part of a $41 billion global operation whose own plan is to be net zero energy by 2050. I mean, this company, Saint-Gobain, is in it to win it, and Sage Glass is just one material that's doing the same thing.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Exciting. I love technology. I love technology in my glass. And very exciting to hear this. And so if people want to find you and find Sage Glass, it's sageglass.com online. You're on LinkedIn, I know. So they can find you on LinkedIn. So that's Peter Worstell of Sage Glass. We talked about Tata Hall. You can rewind this and look at some of the pictures, or go onto my blog at From the Fabricator via glassmagazine.com. You can find it on there and look back at those pictures as well. But thank you so much, Peter, for jumping on jumping on the podcast with me. In 15 years of blogging, that's what's in my head right now. Thank you for jumping on the podcast with me, and I appreciate your time today, and congratulations on a great job, and good luck for a great year ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all 4 guests today. It was a great, I think, a great show, and neat products. I think they're all something that makes a difference in our world. Okay, so time for fun stuff. I always like to end these podcasts with something fun and different, and this month is going to be music related. And really, I'll admit my favorite music aspect is my brother, who I mentioned a bunch of times on this show. He sings Happy Birthday better than anybody you can ever imagine. He should put that up on Cameo. Nobody holds the U at the end of Happy Birthday better than him. So Stevie P, you rock, my man. But what I wanted to bring up, I have a couple documentaries, but a buddy of mine, Ken Fortunato, not in the industry, works in the banking side of the world, had sent a email out to a group of friends of mine talking about the best deceased band. So, folks that have passed. It was when Eddie Van Halen passed away. He put together his best musical band with people who have passed on. And I just wanted to share it with you because I'm a music guy. I know there's some folks out there, and I'm curious on who should be on this list and who may be missing. His band was Neil Peart on the drum set, Eddie Van Halen obviously on the guitar, John Entwistle on the bass, piano songwriter would be John Lennon. On the keyboards and songwriting, Prince. The saxophone, Clarence Clemens, of course. The fiddle, Charlie Daniels, of course. Lead vocals, Freddie Mercury. Absolutely. And then backing vocals, George Michael, Whitney Houston, and Amy Winehouse. I thought it was pretty interesting. I think he's missing some people in there. Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison could be a part of that. But a neat list. And he also is missing a couple of the Bee Gees. And so that leads me into my other part of the fun stuff. And so before I get to that, think about your list on who it would be. Feel free to share it on LinkedIn or send me a note, and we can share it and have some fun with it. But what's interesting about the Bee Gees, there's a brand new documentary out about them on HBO Max. And it is fantastic. If you're a fan at all of this group, check it out. They are a fascinating group who I did not know their legendary songwriting ability and how many songs they wrote for other people. And also the backlash they got after being so gigantic on Saturday Night Fever. It actually was a blessing and a curse because it made them so big. It also made them toxic. Great documentary, fascinating guys. They also mentioned brother Andy Gibb too. So the Bee Gees documentary, If You Can Mend a Broken Heart, I think is the official title of that on HBO Max. And then the other documentary that's making big news on the music side is the one about Britney Spears, and that's on Hulu. And the whole Free Britney movement, count me in. It's a really interesting documentary about Britney Spears and also kind of the double standard that happened back in the day, the way she was treated versus the way the boy bands are treated. I'm a music person. I really enjoyed the deep dive into that. Good step down memory lane too. So both of them, if you're into music at all, check out the Bee Gees on HBO Max, the Britney Spears piece on Hulu. It's a New York Times sponsored documentary on Hulu, so you might be able to find it under that. Check those out. Also, think about your deceased member all-time band. and let me know what you're thinking. I think it's pretty cool. I just say it's a diversion. We all need a diversion right now, don't we? It beats thinking about regular life and the pandemic and business and things like that. We need something different, and I think that that kind of takes the cake. At least it does for me. So that's the fun stuff for this month. A couple documentaries and some musical thoughts. Next month on the From the Fabricator podcast, a very diverse lineup. I don't want to jinx it. I do have people lined up, and I like the mix. I really like the mix. We're going to go into a different area. We're going to also talk to, if it all goes through, a high-level sales rep, manufacturer's rep. I'd like to get some more manufacturer's reps into this mix because I love the fact that manufacturer's reps cover so many different lines. Folks in that area, they know a lot, and it'll be neat to take a deep dive. I got my first one coming up next month if all goes well. And then a couple other people, of course. We'll keep working on the format. We'll keep working on the background. We'll figure out this voice thing that I've got going on. I'm bothered by it. You guys may not notice it. I sure do. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Please feel free to share any thoughts or any other opinions my way. And until then, and we will see you next month on the next From the Fabricator podcast. Thanks again.